Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be talking about the neural code.
Okay.
And this is a really fascinating idea that's not really sci-fi anymore.
Right.
It's the potential for our brains to connect directly with machines.
Yeah.
So we're talking about merging human consciousness with technology, which opens up, just a ton of questions.
Yeah.
Things like digital immortality, AI surpassing human intelligence,
Right.
and just a whole host of ethical questions and dilemmas.
Yeah.
I recently came across an article about a paralyzed man who was able to control a robotic arm just by thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, if that's possible now,
Right.
what's going to be possible in 10 years, 20 years,
Right.
100 years?
Yeah, and that's a great example of kind of where we're at and the potential of this technology.
Right.
But I think it's crucial to understand that the neural code isn't simply about cool gadgets or futuristic prosthetics. It represents a possible turning point in human evolution.
Okay.
A fusion of our biological selves with the digital world.
Okay, so we're not just talking about...
Think of it as connecting the intricate network of our brains
Right.
with the precise language of machines.
So we're not just talking about using our brains to control devices.
Right.
We're talking about fundamentally changing what it means to be human.
Precisely. The neural code aims to create a bridge between our thoughts, memories,
Okay.
and even consciousness with the digital realm. It's pushing the boundaries
Right.
of what we once thought possible, blurring the lines between organic and synthetic.
That's pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to build that kind of bridge?
Hmm.
What are the nuts and bolts of this neural code?
Well, brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs as they're called, are the key. These interfaces act like translators, deciphering the electrical signals in our brains and converting them into a language that computers can understand.
So theoretically, I could write an email just by thinking the words.
That's one potential application among many.
Wow.
BCIs could allow us to control not just computers, but also prosthetics,
Right.
or even entire virtual environments, all with the power of our thoughts.
Wow.
While it might sound like science fiction, this is happening right now.
Right.
In labs across the globe.
And what's fascinating is that it's not just about us humans, right?
Right.
The rise of AI
Absolutely.
is deeply connected to this whole neural code concept.
As we create more sophisticated BCIs,
Right.
we're also developing increasingly advanced AI systems that can learn, adapt, and potentially even exceed human intelligence. This raises some pretty big questions about the nature of consciousness and the future of our species.
Exceed human intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might find that idea a little unsettling.
Sure.
It makes you wonder if machines can think for themselves.
Yeah.
Will they even see us as worth keeping around?
It's a thought-provoking, if somewhat disturbing question that many experts are grappling with. As AI evolves, it forces us to confront profound questions about the nature of intelligence and our place in the universe.
So we've got this potential bridge between our minds and machines.
Yeah.
With AI evolving alongside us. Where does that leave our sense of self?
Right.
Our soul, if we're merging with machines?
Yeah. The neural code compels us to confront some very fundamental questions about consciousness and what it means to exist.
Right.
If we could transfer human consciousness into a digital realm,
Okay.
would that digital consciousness truly be able to replicate the human experience?
Right.
Would it even be the same person? These are questions that philosophers have pondered for centuries, and now they have a very real and urgent relevance.
So we're not just talking about a technological revolution, but a metaphysical one as well.
Exactly. The neural code challenges our very understanding of what it means to be human, to be alive, to be conscious. It's a journey into uncharted territory with vast implications. Imagine a world where consciousness isn't limited by our physical bodies, where we could potentially achieve a form of digital immortality.
Digital immortality. That's a pretty big concept to wrap our heads around.
It is.
It's intriguing, but also a little frightening.
It is. Imagine transferring your consciousness into a digital realm, free from the constraints of time, space, and even death. But would that digital copy of you truly be you?
Right.
With all your memories and experiences? Or would it become something else entirely?
Okay, I'll admit, that's a lot to process.
Yeah.
We're talking about a future
It is.
where the lines between human and machine, life and death, reality and simulation become incredibly blurred.
And with all this incredible potential comes a huge responsibility.
Right.
We need to think carefully about the ethical implications of this technology, the potential for manipulation, and the risk of creating a digital divide between those who have access to it.
Right.
And those who don't. We can't just get caught up in the excitement of the possibilities without addressing the potential downsides.
That's a crucial point. We need to be asking the tough questions now before it's too late. But where do we even begin with such a complex topic?
Well, one way to start is by delving deeper into the scientific advancements that are driving this merging of minds and machines. Let's take a closer look at the current state of BCIs and explore how they're already being used to improve lives today.
That sounds like a good place to start.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's dive in.
Right.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing some pretty heavy philosophical implications of the neural code. But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the tangible advancements that are happening right now. You mentioned that BCIs are already being used in practical ways. Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. While the idea of merging human consciousness with machines might seem like a distant future, BCIs are already making a real difference in people's lives today.
Okay.
One of the most promising applications is in the field of neuroprosthetics.
Neuroprosthetics?
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It might sound futuristic, but it's very real.
Okay.
Researchers have developed BCIs that allow individuals with paralysis to control robotic limbs with their thoughts.
Wow.
Imagine being able to reach out and grasp a cup. Or even walk again.
Wow.
Simply by thinking about it. That's the kind of life-changing potential that BCIs hold.
That's incredible. Are there other medical applications being explored?
BCIs are also showing promise in treating neurological disorders, such as epilepsy and Parkinson's disease. By detecting abnormal brain activity, BCIs can trigger targeted stimulation to help regulate these conditions and improve patients' quality of life.
It sounds like BCIs could revolutionize how we approach healthcare.
Absolutely.
But earlier we were talking about BCIs that could enhance our capabilities.
Yes.
Not just restore lost function.
Right.
Is that something that's being explored as well?
Yes. The concept of using DCIs for human augmentation is gaining traction. Researchers are exploring ways to use BCIs to enhance our cognitive abilities.
Wow.
Improve our memory, and even expand our senses. Imagine being able to learn a new language overnight or experience the world in entirely new ways by tapping into sensory information that's currently beyond our perception.
Those are some pretty tantalizing possibilities. But it also raises some concerns about accessibility. And the potential for creating a divide between those who can afford these enhancements and those who can't.
You're right. It's crucial that as we develop these technologies, we consider the ethical and societal implications carefully. We need to ensure that access to these enhancements is equitable and that they are used responsibly to benefit all of humanity.
So we've talked about the potential of BCIs to restore function, treat diseases, and even enhance our abilities. But earlier we were discussing the possibility of transferring human consciousness into a digital realm. That seems like a much bigger leap.
It is.
How realistic is that scenario, really?
It's definitely further out on the horizon, but some researchers believe it's within the realm of possibility. There are a couple of approaches being explored. One is mind uploading, which involves scanning the brain in intricate detail and creating a digital replica of its structure and activity.
So basically creating like a digital copy of your brain?
In essence, yes. The idea is that this digital copy would be able to function just like the original brain, preserving your memories, personality, and even consciousness.
So like a backup.
Another approach is called connectomics, which focuses on mapping the connections between neurons in the brain. The idea is that by understanding the intricate network of connections, we could potentially recreate consciousness in a digital form.
Both of those approaches sound incredibly complex.
They are.
Are there any concrete examples of progress being made towards digital consciousness?
It's still very early days, and there are significant challenges to overcome.
Sure.
But researchers are making progress in mapping the brain and understanding how it works.
Yeah.
For example, the Open Worm project is attempting to create a digital simulation of the nematode C. elegans, a tiny worm with a relatively simple nervous system. While it's a far cry from a human brain, it's a step towards understanding how complex biological systems can be replicated in digital form.
That's pretty fascinating. But even if we could create a digital copy of our brain, would that copy actually be conscious?
That's the million-dollar question, and one that philosophers and scientists are still debating. There's no easy answer, and it ultimately depends on how you define consciousness. Some believe that consciousness is an emergent property of complex systems, and that any sufficiently complex system, whether biological or digital, could potentially be conscious. Others argue that consciousness is uniquely tied to biological substrates and can't be replicated in a digital form.
So even if we crack the technological challenges, there's still the philosophical debate about what consciousness really is.
Exactly. The neural code is a journey into uncharted territory, both scientifically and philosophically. It raises questions about the nature of reality, the meaning of life, and what it means to be human. In a world where the lines between the physical and digital are becoming increasingly blurred.
Okay, we've talked about some mind-boggling possibilities, from robotic limbs controlled by thought to the potential for digital immortality. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and consider what all of this means for the future of humanity.
That's a great point. We've explored the what and the how of the neural code. But now we need to grapple with the why. What are the implications of these technologies for our society, our relationships, and our very understanding of ourselves?
Those are questions we'll dive into right after this.
Okay.
Welcome back. We've covered so much in our exploration of the neural code, from the science of BCIs to the philosophical questions about consciousness and digital immortality. Now I think it's time to confront the big question. What does all this mean for the future of humanity?
It's a question that sparks both excitement and apprehension. The neural code represents a potential paradigm shift in our relationship with technology and with ourselves. It forces us to reconsider what it means to be human in a world where the boundaries between our biological selves and the digital realm are blurring.
Yeah, one of the most striking aspects of this whole conversation is the potential impact on human evolution. Are we on the cusp of a new era where technology becomes an integral part of our being?
It's certainly a possibility. For millennia, human evolution has been a slow, gradual process driven by natural selection. But with the neural code, we're entering an era where we have the potential to directly influence our own evolution, to merge with technology and transcend our biological limitations.
That's both exhilarating and a little bit terrifying. What would a society of technologically augmented humans even look like? Would we still be recognizable as the same species?
It's hard to say for sure, but imagine a world where our cognitive abilities are amplified, where we can access information instantaneously, where our senses are expanded beyond the limits of our current perception. It's a world that could be filled with incredible potential, but also with new challenges and risks.
Yeah. One concern that keeps coming up is the potential for inequality. If these technologies are expensive and not accessible to everyone, wouldn't it create a two-tiered society with a technologically elite and everyone else left behind?
That's a valid concern, and one we need to address proactively. We need to ensure that these technologies are developed and distributed in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just a privileged few. This will require careful consideration of economic models, access to education and training, and ethical frameworks to guide the development and use of these powerful tools.
It sounds like the neural code isn't just a scientific or technological challenge, but a societal one as well.
Absolutely. We need to have open and honest conversations about the future we want to create. We need to engage with experts from diverse fields, ethicists, philosophers, sociologists, policymakers, to ensure that we navigate this uncharted territory thoughtfully and responsibly.
So where do we go from here? What can our listeners do to engage with these complex issues and be part of shaping this future?
First and foremost, stay informed. Read about the latest advancements in BCI technology, artificial intelligence, and the ethical considerations surrounding these fields. Engage in conversations, online and offline, with people who hold different viewpoints. Challenge your own assumptions and be willing to think critically about the potential benefits and risks of this transformative technology. The future of the neural code is ultimately in our hands, and it's up to all of us to ensure that it leads to a future where technology empowers and enhances humanity rather than diminishing it.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the neural code. A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this fascinating and thought-provoking landscape. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.